in the way we present things and so forth. And sometimes people are not perfect in the way they present things. I apologize for that, but I mean, that's just human nature. Sometimes we don't choose our words as carefully as we should, but still in all, we're not trying to make this a political agenda or a political program. We're trying to reach out to the abused victims of the Watchtower Society and so forth, and try to get them all out of there and try to get them to see the light of day and so forth, which they will never see the light of day, and they'll never have any freedom if they stay in the Watchtower Society. And it's even getting more dangerous if they start coming up with this, what do they call it, Zoom and so forth, having cameras in your house and everything like that. That's very dangerous. That's a very dangerous precedent when it comes to that. It's an invasion of your right to privacy, and it's an invasion of your, right to be safe and secure in your own home. Again, we just bring the Constitution in here, which the Watchtower Society doesn't respect, and so forth,
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you mentioned that, we're not perfect. That, to me, makes me think of Watchtower, because every time you would try to point out something to a Watchtower, right, they say, well, nobody's perfect. Well, the men that run the Watchtower, they're just imperfect men. It's all about perfect. Nobody ever said anything about perfect. It's about being cognizant of others' thoughts and feelings and opinions and beliefs. And we have to also, like you said, be careful how we choose our words. But then, on the other hand, having been in an organization that so tightly controls our very thoughts, and we were always very careful of what we said and how we said it, and the words we used to say it, and the tone we used to say it, that sometimes we just want to let our emotions and our thoughts just go flowing straight out of our mouth without analyzing and critiquing and editing everything, and we're going to offend people. And I just want us to all be cognizant of, we need freedom of speech, and that's one thing that we have. But in freedom of speech, just like in freedom of anything else, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we really don't have the right to just callously upset others that don't maybe agree or whatever, because we are all individuals. Our experiences in life are different, and we are coming from different facets of the same diamond, and we're going to see things differently. So we have to be feeling that we do have the right to speak, and we should all, I believe, listen to one another, but at the same time be aware and be conscious and considerate. And if somebody's upset, then they're upset, and they have a right to be upset, just like we have the right to say what we feel we need to say. We should be cognizant and say, well, I've upset my sister, I've upset my brother. And I think that, personally, I apologize again for starting a political discussion that maybe has upset other people. And mostly I am in tears and so heartbroken over watching a country falling apart. I grew up in one of the worst projects in San Francisco during the Civil Rights Movement, during the Black Panther Party, during all of the chaos and the murders of our President Kennedy and Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and Martin Luther King, and everybody that meant anything was just being killed and slashed, and all of this craziness and this horrible hatred and ugly, and the people that fought so hard to bring awareness to civil rights for all. And to see them fight for what they fought for and the abuses they suffered, and now to see thugs and drug addicts and crazy people running around destroying everything and tearing our country apart worse than it's ever been, breaks my heart. So I'm sorry that came out, and I'm sorry I started this. So everybody, if you have anything to say about Watchtower or your friends or your family, I would really like to encourage that.
I don't think you need to apologize, Anne-Marie, or whoever this is talking. I don't know now, but I think everything was a point well taken and so forth. I think there was some misunderstanding here and so forth. We just have to remember this is Watchtower besides behind closed doors, and I don't need to say more, but I need to reiterate that we, just this much, we can't always do things perfectly and all that, but we are doing everything we can to make it careful, to stick to the mission statement and so forth, and to have some guidelines in here as to, exposing the Watchtower. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Well, I think you're right, and I absolutely agree with you, and I do believe that I have overstepped the boundaries of those guidelines, and that is why I apologize. Because
I don't think you really did. I think that maybe that it was a matter of just not choosing the right words, or maybe it was a misunderstanding and so forth. But I mean, there's things. It has to be brought out that the Watchtower Society is really causing a lot of harm. There's people committing suicide in there. There's people that are being bilked of millions of dollars. And I brought this up before. The money that they're bilking is not contributions. It's taxpayers' money. Because charitable contributions, there's a big difference between, the amount of money that's contributed to charities and where it goes. But when it comes to the 501c3 standards, I should say, when it comes to like Watchtower Society and everything like that, that's a matter of taxpayers' money being spent, not charitable contributions to some charitable work.
Can you make me think of something kind of off on the peripheral? Isn't it interesting? It almost seems like the Watchtower Society has a crystal ball, or maybe a psychic that they've hired, because isn't it interesting when you just think of the facts that the Watchtower saw, let's just say, chaos coming. They saw the need to say, you know what, guys, it's time to pack up, sell out, and get out of Dodge. And that was back in, 2000 approximately, when they just started. I mean, we knew they had all of their plans in the works before they started selling off everything. And they started selling off, they started closing branches, and they started selling off Kingdom Balls. When they started selling off God's organization's headquarters, and now look, where are they now? What if they had stayed in Brooklyn? The chaos that Jay has talked about since the COVID-19 broke out, the chaos that has been happening with the riots, the chaos with the police, wanting to back down, and the crazy mayor's wife saying, yeah, we should just get rid of the police. Are you seriously kidding me? Can you imagine? It's interesting. I just find it interesting that Watchtower somehow knew it was time to go, sell out, pocket the money, get their compound surrounded on 3 sides by dense forests and the 4th side by water, out in the middle of Timbuktu nowhere. Isn't it something? I just find it interesting. Anyone else want to comment on anything?
Yeah, Marie, I think you're really on top of it. I really do. I think that Satan the devil controls Satan the devil controls the Watchtower Bible and Drag Society. So Satan the devil knows what he's going to do. He knows what his plans are. He's going to try to destroy this company. It's a God-fearing country, and he's going to try to destroy it. I'm sure that's in the cards, and I'm sure that Satan the devil influences the Watchtower, and I'm just sure of it. Thank you.
Yeah, that really does make sense, because everything has worked out too much in their favor, and they're so cocky about it. I mean, look at the bunkers. We know that they have underground bunkers. We know that they have enough food and water and supplies, not to mention amenities, to last, I'm sure, for years. I mean, hello, they had underground, tunnels and whatever, and storage and whatever in Brooklyn. We know that's true, and they denied it for a long time. And now they're up there, and they're sitting pretty.
Anne Marie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, this is Randy.
Hi, Randy.
Wanted to tell you, I came in a little earlier, was listening, and
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate so much your comments. I don't think you were out of place at all, because here's the reason why is in our ex-JW community, there is all this fussing and fighting and politics going on, and you started out saying you just couldn't stand this anymore, that you don't mind people being respectful and giving their opinion, but when they get hateful or when they get racist and stuff, you just couldn't stand it. And I feel exactly the same way. Matter of fact, I kind of look forward to seeing some of my friends post racist and disrespectful stuff, because then I can say, oh, now I know what kind of person you are, and I can block you right away. And that's what I've been doing, spending my time doing.
Yeah, well, I watch you on Facebook. As I don't watch really, but I am cognizant of my brothers and sisters and my friends, and I try to be very careful. But just sometimes I feel sick, and when people I love, people I know who are truly good people, who are my family, my friends, relatives of my family and friends, that say something that tells me you are allowing yourself to have your mind controlled by a very sinister undercurrent agenda that is destroying our country from the inside out, whether it's through religion, whether it's through the homosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, whatever, all your rainbow flags, that, or racism. It's all being used to tear apart our country. And, I believe in the Bible. I know that there's a lot we don't know. I know that the scriptures have been tampered with. I know there are many holy writings that have been kept from us. I know that there is a lot we don't know. But as far as my basic, in my gut belief, I do believe in an almighty creator, God, whoever, and I do believe that love is more important than anything. When push comes to shove, when we break down through all of the craziness and the hatred and the anger and the yelling and the spitting and whatever, come down to something that is just core love.
Well, Anne-Marie, that's
Anne-Marie.
hold on, Ken. In fact, Anne-Marie, that's absolutely great. I mean, I want to let you know too. I'm the moderator here. I'm here at the network, and I listen to everything. You did not step out of line at all. We have all kinds of people coming in from all over the world. This was a conversation I wanted to have ex-witnesses talk about. We're normal too, and this is a news network. Of course, we focus on Jehovah's Witnesses, but there's no reason why we can't bring up, without people getting overly sensitive, there's no reason why we can't bring up certain subjects that are newsworthy. Ex-witnesses also have a brain. They're not on zombie control here. They're able to think a little bit. We see things, and I think it's good that we can have some ex-witnesses express themselves. So no, you are not out of line. I listen to everything that's said. I'll be the judge. I'm the one that'll hop in if I feel I have to come in. But I felt you had free reign. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Well, thank you, Brother Rick. I thank you. It's just if I hear one person who is obviously upset, that concerns me, because I do believe we have to be cognizant of all of each other, everyone. And I do want to take personal responsibility. I have to watch what I say and how I say it. But you guys know me. I just, boom. I always come from my heart, and I always come from my emotions.
Well,
and I'm upset that I upset this beautiful woman who came on and spoke from her heart. Obviously I picked up that she was very upset. And that hurts me, because that means I feel like I started it. I caused it.
No. What hurts me more? Well, let me tell you what hurts me more. That woman didn't speak up and talk to you. That hurts me more. If you're going to come on this program and you're going to have a bone to pick, the least you could do is come on and state your position. Just to say you don't like what's being said and we have to change the whole contour of the program. If that woman would have came on and said what was on her mind and what was bothering her, that would have been more acceptable. I'm kind of displeased. If someone's going to come on and make a comment, by all means, this is a forum. It's an online program where people can voice their thoughts. But just for someone to come and say they don't like something, then leave, and then you invite the person to come on and say something, that's more troubling than what you had to say, Anne-Marie. That's how I feel about it.
Well, I respect how you feel, and you make perfect sense. But my take on it was the sister did not come on and put anything down. She just basically said, can we please just, talk about the Watchtower tonight, because we were going on and on and on about everything political and racism and anger and the police and rioting and whatever. And I got her point, and I picked up that she was very upset. Now, everybody can't express how they feel, especially when they're upset, in a way that is going to satisfy everybody's estimation of what they should or shouldn't have said, or how they should or shouldn't have said it. She came on, and in her way, from where she was coming from her upsetness, this is just my take on it, Rick, she expressed the best way she could. She didn't offend anybody, she didn't put anybody down, she didn't say anything nasty. She very well could have been modulating or moderating herself, because I know there have been some lines of conversation in the years I've been listening to Six Screens that really upset me. And there were times when I tried to say something and I was shut down and cut off, and I just got so upset. I knew I was going to say something that would not be acceptable, and I had to hang up. I just hang up. So maybe I could, be behind her eyes and be that way. Like, can we just not do this? Or can we just talk about that? I've kind of said the same thing, because I would feel at different times, I have felt this, that things were going way off in left field and getting way too crazy. That's just me, Rick. So and this is good, because you're coming across how you feel, how you see it. Ken's coming across how he feels, and I'm just sharing how I see it. I don't know if it's because I feel everybody's feelings, but I picked up that this poor lady was very, very upset, and not angry or hateful, but upset.
Well, let's see if we can bring her on.
I would love to.
Well, let's see if we can bring her on, and let's listen to her side of the story. A few words sometimes doesn't tell the whole story, so we're going to bring the lady on. Sister, if you're on here with us, come on. Let us know what your feelings are. Our ears are open, so we're giving you the opportunity to come on right now and explain yourself. Go ahead, sister, you're on with us. Go ahead. Well, we're giving her the opportunity. And the thing is, we've been doing this program for 15 years. And obviously our main thrust, our mission, as someone said earlier, is to expose the Watchtower. But, there's also current events. We don't get deep into them, but they also affect the ex-witness world. And for us to bring that up and still keep it entwined with Jehovah's Witnesses, which I thought it was. We didn't go way off on a deep end. And I see no reason to step in, and I would. I've stepped into other programs and said, we've got to kind of move on. But in this particular case, I let it go, but I'm sorry, sister. I listen in tonight. There'll be more programs. We'll try to keep it more on the Watchtower, and generally it would. But it's okay that we discuss some of these things tonight. We know how a lot of ex-witnesses feel. Feelings for people, and I do appreciate that in you, Anne-Marie. And I have feelings for you as far as what you can do, what you can't do. But I'm not going to throw anything at you here. You weren't out of order. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Rick.
All righty. So now we're going to move on to JW World News. Well, that's coming up next. Right here on the Six Screens Tele Network. Don't leave us, friends. We have got a lot going on. We got Facebook. We're up live right now on Facebook. We are on the Six Screens video suite. And we also are on the Six Screens radio telephone network. So stay with us tonight. There's no reason for you to leave. Do you want to know what's going on behind the curtains? Well, this is the place to come. This is the only live program of its type. We've been doing it for 15 years. We have never missed a Saturday night. We are here because you are here. Let's bring you into JW World News. Let's give you the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. Let's put Anne-Marie's program into the archives. We're going to do that right now. That'll be put into the archives. If you want to listen to some of these programs, all you have to do and try to take a look. It looks like Randy Waters is trying to call me, but I can't do it right now. He's, of course, from Free Minds, but I'll have to call him later. But anyways, let's go to JW World News. That's coming up next. Right here on the 6 screens, Telenetwork.
You're on the 6 screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Whoa, I cannot believe it, friends. Here it is, June 20th. Wow, we are now into summer. This is the longest day of the year. I'm glad you're with us. We have got a really good program coming up tonight on JW World News. Don't leave us now. We're going to be talking about many things. And of course, we'll be talking about the things the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. Well, there you have it. Hello, everyone, and welcome in. Wow, what a rockin' awesome night we got going here tonight. Lots of people coming in from pretty much all over the world. Things are happening. More and more people are packing their bags. More and more people are leaving the Watchtower. And how glad I am, and you should be glad too. A lot of you guys are former witnesses, but a lot of you folks listening in tonight too. You're in the PMO class. You're physically in, but you're mentally out. You're just going to the meetings in a perfunctory way. You don't want to be shunned, and who would? But anyways, it does happen still, but I have to report tonight we are counting down the last days of the Watchtower. I'm telling you folks, take them off the grill. They are cooked. I don't know how much further they can go. Well, anyways, I'm coming to you from the hub of the universe, from the epicenter of apostasy, right here in Boston, Massachusetts, and welcome in, as I say. And I have to tell you, this is my favorite night of the week. Oh, this is when I go to the market basket. I get the salami, the cheese, and the crackers, and I invite you into my home. Oh, it's like we're friends. We all sit around the coffee table, and we can discuss things that are affecting so many people adversely when they left the Watchtower. Friends, it's like the Hotel California. You can check in easily, but boy, getting out is difficult. So by all means, listen in tonight. Now, if you're listening in for the first time, don't leave. Don't get all upset and say, oh, we're a bunch of apostates, and we're not doing this. We're not trying to in any way rattle your cage. We're here to help you. We're not here to hurt you. We want you to know what's going on in your religious organization. Friends, it's terrible. Maybe you're feeling the effects of it. Well, we're going to be talking about that tonight on JW World News. So let's get into it. Let's take a look. Let's see what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, I tell you, I'm going to start off. I got a number of stories tonight. I couldn't believe it. Generally, what I do is I kind of wait to the end of the week to gather stories because they're the most newsworthy. They're up to date. But I was up this morning at 3 o'clock and going over stories and trying to find some of the top stories that are going on behind the curtains. And I've got a number of them. I couldn't believe how many things are being said about the Jehovah's Witnesses online. This is a really big week. Lots are being said. Friends, the Watchtower is in free fall, and we're going to talk about why I'm saying that. But let's first of all, I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but let me tell you about this guy that I know. He goes by the name Atlantis. And Atlantis is evidently a higher up in the Watchtower. He's more than an elder. He's more than a circuit overseer. I believe he's someone right there, maybe in the writing department. Maybe he's in the legal department. But he goes by the name Atlantis. And he's been sending me emails on letters that are being sent to the elders. Every week I get notices from Atlantic on letters that are being sent to the elders from the governing body or from the organization. And it's really fascinating what some of these letters say. And I get upwards of 10, 12 a week. So I try to pick out the ones that I think are most newsworthy, the ones that you guys can connect with, the ones you guys can say, whoa, I cannot believe that. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you. Well, let's see if I can't pull this up and let you see it. Well, let's see what's going on here. All right, let's see if we can't show you this letter right here. I'm getting into my computer here, and I want you to see this. You'll see it on the 6 Screens video suite. Let me just put it on so you'll be able to see it. You'll see it on Facebook as well. So here we go right here. Now, what you have here, well, let's see why we don't have that up. Okay, just give me a second here. There it is there. Now, what you're looking at there, you get on there without creating a lot of problems and issues. And, well, you can see it in front of you. It's kind of simple. This is put out by the Watchtower to get on the Zoom meetings. Choose the proper surroundings. Connect from a quiet place. And prepare the background. So they want you to kind of, make this thing right when you're coming on Zoom. They want you to make sure the background is right. Don't have a bunch of dogs or crazy things in the background. I'll tell you what makes a good background is a bookcase. Well, you see these people on TV, on some of these news stations, they can't really meet in the studio, so they got a bookcase behind them. That's a good backdrop. So the Watchtower is saying to do that. Put a good backdrop up. And the Watchtowers, if you're going to go on Zoom, also they're saying to avoid distractions and outside noise. Well, we know that's always irritating. I'm always saying that here in the 6 Screens to make sure you're not making noise in the background because it really makes it terrible. So the Watchtower is telling people not to make noise. And then they're also saying your personal appearance. Wow. Do they want you when you dress in a dress, or they want you in a house coat, a bathrobe? They want you in a dress. They want you in a suit if you're a man. So that's saying that personal appearance is very important, and avoid moving the device. If you're holding the device, an iPad or a phone, don't be moving it around, obviously. So these are instructions, simplified instructions that was sent out to all the congregations around the world on how to get on the Zoom meeting. And I have to say there has been some issues with it, with people's microphones. Now, we always have that problem here at the 6 Screens, and we've been doing video conferencing, for the last 8 years. So, you've always heard me say, make sure your mics are off and what have you, so you won't get all this feedback. So they're giving instructions. Friends, this looks like Zoom is going to be around for a while. When I see things like this is very interesting to me. It's showing me that it looks like the witnesses aren't going to be getting back to meetings very soon. Now, anyways, the branch knows that Zoom is going to be used for a long time. Well, why do I say that? I believe the Watchtower knows, the branches know that Zoom is going to be the way Jehovah's Witnesses are meeting for a long time. And the reason why I say it is Watchtower has invested heavily into the use of Zoom, and they've actually got what they call an enterprise edition of Zoom. Now, anybody can get a Zoom account. I have one, but I can only bring so many people in if I want to use it. And then I have to upgrade it and pay for it. It's called a business or an enterprise Zoom account. Watchtower has an enterprise Zoom account, and they pay for it. And I'm not sure what it looks like. Don't take this to the bank and cash it because I can't know for sure. But it looks like they have made a deal with Zoom, and they are at least sending these links to the congregations. They really want to use this Zoom as their kingdom halls. As a matter of fact, it's even interesting, the congregations are getting URL addressed to Zoom with with watchtower.org with the URL. It makes it look like, wow, a real professional. Now, it appears that the branch is actually doing this, but the witnesses have been told not to advertise it. In other words, witnesses getting on Zoom now, they're going to see jw.org Zoom, and it's going to look really professional. But the witnesses, from what I gather here, what I've been told, are not to advertise this to anybody. It's supposed to just be, let it go at that. We don't want to really let everyone know what's going on with Zoom. So it's no secret here, friends, that the Watchtower has a business account, an enterprise account, they call it, for Zoom, and they are setting up congregations with accounts and URLs for the meeting. What it does is it makes it easier for people to get on Zoom. But the Watchtower looks like they're paying for it, but there's going to be a way, I'm sure, they're going to make the congregations pay for it. But for right now, this is the only way they can meet, so I feel that's why they are doing it. But you watch, they'll make the congregations pay. Now, you know, something very fascinating came across the... I got a letter on Facebook from an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and her mother is still in, and she wrote me this week, and I found it really disturbing. A letter... hold on, okay. Just cover your mouth when you're coughing like that. That'd be good. All right. So, anyways, this week on Zoom, I got a letter, not on Zoom, but on Facebook. I got a letter from a woman who's an ex-witness, and she said her mother and her friends are still witnesses, and what they are doing is they want the witnesses, when they're writing letters, of course we know they can't go door to door, they can't go out on the cart work, so they have to write letters or call people, and they don't want you writing letters to just random people. They want you writing letters to perhaps someone you know, maybe a relative, maybe someone that has studied with you before. They certainly don't want letters to get in the hands of the apostates, so to speak. But anyways, one of the thoughts, or one of the things the woman told me, is that witnesses are now being encouraged to write these letters on Zoom live video, so the Watchtower can see them writing. Wow, talk about Big Brother. I mean, talk about putting pressure on someone. So the Watchtower wants to see you writing letters. I mean, don't they trust you? Evidently not, because evidently they're getting all of these fictitious amounts of time being reported, and more than likely they're not. So that's a strange thing. So the Watchtower wants you writing letters on Zoom, and who's watching you? The coordinating elder? Is Watchtower itself watching you? Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of these people, well, they're getting lost in the shuffle of Zoom. Information coming into the 6 screens is at least suggesting that meetings on the Zoom are really not working like the Watchtower would want them to work. And think about it. When Armageddon doesn't come within the next year, like most PMIs, that is, people are physically in and mentally in, are hoping, the numbers are going to drop. I mean, they've really been pushing this COVID virus like, oh, Armageddon is right here. We in the final days of the final days. And friends, we have a lot of people growing up in the organization. They're still young kids. You think they're going to buy all of this and dress up and go on the Zoom meeting? Come on, friends. The young ones are losing their drive. They do not want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's what's going on in Zoom. We're going to talk about it more as we go downstream with some of our news tonight. But if anybody has any thoughts on Zoom meetings, well, go ahead, speak up right now. All you have to do is hit *1 and come into the program. If you'd like to do that, you're with us. *1.
Yeah, Mr. Farron?
Yes, Ken.
Well, I've said it before and everything like that, but I think this Zoom business right here is going to be just another nail in the coffin of the Watchtower Society, because it's getting to be too much of an invasion of the right to privacy. I mean, who wants to have cameras connected to the Watchtower Society to your own home and all that? I mean, it was bad enough before when the Watchtower Society thought they could run you. You know, they could rule your life from the Kingdom Hall to your own home, to your own bed, to your bedroom, whatever it is. So it's probably going to work for a while, and probably they're going to take advantage of this current crisis right now. It's probably going to work for a while, but we just hope that it's going to go the other way. It's going to go downhill after a while.
Well, we hope that, Ken, and certainly I see it happening. I really do. That's why we're counting down the last days of the Watchtower. Well, thank you, Ken.
Yeah, we want to remember this too, and everything like that. They established these drive-through churches back in the 70s and 80s, the mega churches and the TV ministries and so forth. And it appears that they worked good for a while, but now they're not working anymore.
Well, thank you for your comments, Ken. Appreciate it. All right, we're now moving on. We're going to go on to the next story. Friends, I cannot believe some of the things I'm reading online concerning the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's getting bad. $700 million laundered funds by Watchtower to avoid sex lawsuit payment. These are headlines. These are headlines I'm reading from newspapers around the world. Jehovah's Witnesses accused of selling off assets and moving cash to avoid sex abuse compensation. Wow! When you read headlines like this, how disgraceful is that against the Watchtower? Now, worldly, could you say worldly behavior by Jehovah's Witnesses? Especially these headlines are coming out of Australia. Friends, worldly behavior doesn't cover it because the world rejects this sort of behavior quite firmly. This is worse than worldly behavior. Laundering money, taking cash out of Australia so they don't have to pay the victims of child abuse? Come on, friends. This is supposed to be a Christian religion. I cannot believe it. This is absolutely disgusting to me. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you ABC in Australia. If you're on the Six Screens video suite, you'll see it. If you're on our Facebook, you'll see it. I'm going to bring it up here right now. ABC in Australia. And it was a story concerning the Jehovah's Witnesses. I want you to hear it. I want you to hear the story. It's unbelievable. Let me just see why we got a bunch of. Well, we got to do this, so we're going to do that right now. Okay. So, anyways, let's just do this right now. We have got to this story I want you to see, and it's concerning Jehovah's Witnesses in Australia. It's on ABC, so let's bring it on right now. Just got to go through the commercial here as we normally do, but just give us a second. The commercial will be over, and here comes the program.
Special investigation has exposed the complex web of legal entities obscuring the true wealth and financial activities of the Jehovah's Witnesses. It has also delved into the alleged offshoring of millions of dollars since the announcement of the Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse. Whistleblowers have sounded warnings the secretive Christian sect may be hiding money before the looming June 30 deadline to join the National Redress Scheme, paying compensation to child abuse victims. The Jehovah's Witnesses have been named in the Royal Commission as having 1,800 potential child sex abuse victims and more than 1,000 alleged pedophiles. The sheer numbers expose them to potential financial compensation of more than $100 million. But the Jehovah's Witnesses have not indicated whether they will sign up for the scheme. Instead, they have undertaken a massive restructuring of their legal entities and have allegedly been liquidating property assets.
Liquidating property assets. Can you imagine that? Well, let me kind of give you a little idea. Now, that was ABC News in Australia. Now, what they are implying is the Watchtower is selling money off, not selling, but sending money off out of Australia so that they don't have to pay the redress to compensation for the people that were victimized. Okay, let me just tell you what's going on here. Okay, so Australia, we all know about the Royal Commission. Now, when the Royal Commission met a few years back, they indicted the witnesses, or at least told the witnesses that they were hiding pedophiles. They were hiding people. They were not reporting it to the police. And there was 1,000+ cases of pedophilia or child molestation. So they were found guilty in the Royal Commission. So the Royal Commission's finding, and they were also examining other religions at the time. They were examining the Boy Scouts, the Catholic Church, and a number of other organizations. And most of the organizations did indeed show guilt when it came to identifying pedophilia. The Watchtower was involved with this. They certainly were. They led the pack in as far as hurting people and victimizing children with child abuse. So anyways, the Australian Royal Commission, after a couple of years, came up with what they call a redress package. And what that would be is that these organizations that did harm would pay the victims $100,000. The Watchtower refused to do this, and the deadline is June 30th. That's coming up just in another week or two. So the deadline was then, but the Watchtower has been sucking money in the last couple of years like crazy out of Australia and sending it elsewhere, sending it to the Home Office. And now this is ticking off the Australian Royal Commission to the point that ABC, as well as national newspapers in Australia, well, they're reporting on it. I mean, talk about bringing reproach to Jehovah. My goodness, I mean, that is just terrible, friends, what we're learning here concerning the Watchtower. Now, in a pandemic, they continue selling off Kingdom Halls. They're doing it as we speak. And as a matter of fact, they are having all of the meetings, as you guys know. They're not meeting in Kingdom Halls. They're having all of the meetings online, assemblies and conventions. They're all done, as we said earlier, on the Zoom line. But they're selling these Kingdom Halls off. And especially in Australia, they're going like popcorn over there. And they're taking the money and getting it out of Australia. And they're the dirt. In fact, I have to tell you something. I've been doing Watchtower News here for 15 years. But I have to tell you that there's something very bad here. This is about the dirtiest that I've ever looked at a story in the press concerning the Watchtower. That is absolutely unbelievable. Well, when you read stories like Jehovah's Witnesses accused of selling off assets and moving cash to avoid sex abuse compensation, well, who's not going to read a headline like that? That's pretty bad that they're not even paying the victims off who have been abused by the Watchtower. And then when you read a headline, 700 million laundered funds by Watchtower to avoid sexual lawsuits, and then you just heard from ABC, this is just absolutely appalling. And like I say, this has got to be the dirtiest news that I've ever heard coming out of the press. Friends, the press is closing in on the Watchtower. Isn't that wonderful? Seriously. I'm telling you, the monkey died, the circus is over. The game is over. The Watchtower cannot continue to go on any longer. There's just no way. And maybe some of the stuff that's coming across the internet, maybe some of these news articles, maybe they'll wake up some of the Jehovah's Witnesses to the real truth. God's organization is nothing more than a money-making business. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Thomas Hodge from Lawrence, Kansas. Man, it just seems like there's got to be some way we could expose these bums for what they're doing. This is appalling. I mean, we have victims all over Australia alone that have been abused by these people. and they won't even compensate it. It blows my mind. How awful, how disgusting, how indespicable. I just wish we could get this out more and more to the world, the whole world. I really like what Jason Zelda's doing. Maybe he could pick up on that and make a story out of it. Boy, this is horrible, Rick.
Oh, Tom, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. But the good thing is, I know many Jehovah's Witnesses are waking up, but even more than that, there's so many people in the world that are waking up. The Jehovah's Witnesses are getting this really tarnished reputation. It's terrible. They talk about, Thomas, if you were driving down the road as a Jehovah's Witness and you got stopped by a cop for speeding, and another witness happened to go by and saw the cop standing next to your car, he would report you to the elders, and you'd have to tell the elders, well, I was speeding. And if you were brought into a judicial committee hearing, the elders would say, well, Thomas, you're bringing reproach upon Jehovah when you were stopped by the police. You shouldn't have been speeding. But here they are laundering money, sending it offshore. Isn't that bringing reproach? Come on,
Yeah, they laundered at least $5 million or so to Canada one time. I remember Johnny the Deathlite was telling us about that some time back.
Yeah, in fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is what really ticks me off. We had an actual Bethelite, and I don't know where he is. He could have been murdered for all I know by the Watchtower. I don't know. But we had an actual Bethelite come on here and tell everybody what was going on. A lot of people did not want to believe Johnny, and he told us about money laundering. He told us about so many things, and everyone used to say, Rick, you're sensationalizing. Johnny's not telling the truth. And now all of a sudden, all of the stuff is coming out, Tom, and it's what Johnny was talking about,
Right? Absolutely.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Tom, for weighing in. Who else? We got people in the green zone. Go ahead, Ken. Yes.
Yeah. Well, what they're doing right now is, I hope it comes back to haunt them, because it's a major felony, including it's a criminal activity and a major felony, including the money laundering, including the criminal sexual conduct that's been going on in there and so forth. And I hope Australia finds a way to head them off its past and keep that money there and pay the victims off, because it's really outrageous. But it's not surprising that this criminal organization would do something like they're doing. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely. When I go through this for the news all week long, it's getting worse, Ken. 15 years ago, I wasn't reading headlines like this. I had to dig really deep to find some dirt on the Watchtower. But, you can find dirt everywhere you look. Every news story coming out of Australia is dirt on them. It's terrible.
Well, no, I never had in my wildest dreams 10, 20 years ago. I knew that there was a lot of bad things about them, but I never even dreamed that it would be this bad. It's a lot worse than I even thought. I guess the vast majority of people coming on the 6 screens here feel the same way. So.
Yeah. Well, they all do. We got a number of people in the green zone. If you'd like to speak up, you're on with us right now. You're on JW World News. Go ahead. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Jay, hi.
Jay, hi.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Can I ask you, has there been anything about them paying off politicians?
I don't see anything about paying off politicians, but that's interesting you bring that up, Jay. You think they would stoop that low and do that?
I do, because they have such money. They're maybe worth $50 billion, and they have stuff in the Air Force. They have stock in the Air Force. Like in the fighter planes. That's the only reason. I definitely think they would. I wish I was wrong, but I'm sorry to say I'm learning more and more from this program that this is the worst dream that could come true.
Well, it's, I'll tell you what, Jay, in some respects it's a nightmare for a witness, but it's actually a good dream for us. We are seeing a religious mind control cult coming to an end. Stick a fork in them, they're done. I don't know where they can go.
I pray that you're right. I'm just waiting for some congressmen to go in like in Waco, like in Africa, and just show up and say, make a presence. But I don't know if it's coming with that. Maybe that will happen when they start. They got to be reading this to the politicians too, I'm sure. Rick?
Yeah. Well, it's all crazy stuff.
How can they get away with? Don't they have that in bond? That money put away for the victims? They can just steal it.
Well, no, they're stealing it. They're not going to pay those victims. They're not going to pay those victims. They're getting the money. Now they're telling the Australian court that they don't have the money. They don't have the money to pay them. So they want the Australians. They want the Royal Commission to kind of go light on them. But now they uncovered. The Royal Commission uncovered all of this money laundering and selling off of Kingdom Halls and sending the money elsewhere. So now they're starting to scratch their head and say, wait a minute, that's why it's been published in the newspapers over there. It's a fraud. It's stealing money.
Can you explain to me how their money, what is money laundering?
Okay. Well, actually, I'll explain this, but here's the deal. The Australian press is using money laundering. And maybe it's not money laundering in the truest sense. Let me give you an idea what money laundering would be. Money laundering, let's go with a drug dealer. Let's say that Jimmy Jones is dealing drugs. He's pulling in $20,000 a week. That's a lot of money.
Right.
He wants to drive a nice car. He wants to wear nice clothes. But people are suspicious of him. Where's he getting the money to buy this brand new Cadillac? So, people are a little skeptical. So what Jimmy does is he sets up a baseball card store. It's fictitious. It's a phony baloney thing. He makes up false invoices. Well, Jimmy Johnson came in and bought $1,000 worth of memorabilia. And they make up fake invoices, so it looks like they're making money legitimately, but they're washing it through another business. Now, this really isn't, well, in a sense it is, and I'll tell you why. In a sense it's money laundering, but it's also against the law to send money out of a country at the sums that the Watchtower is doing. But let's just focus on money laundering for a second. In a sense, it could be construed as money laundering, and I'll tell you why. Well, what the Watchtower is doing is the Australian government not suggest, but they mandate that if an organization is going to get charitable bonus, and what I mean by that is the Watchtower gets paid by the Australian government as long as they can show they're trying to help people. But that's another thing. Let that one go. But what I'm saying here is the Watchtower has to report the amount of money they have if it's over $1 million. Well, obviously the Watchtower has over $1 million, the branch office in Australia. So what they conveniently done in the last few years is they broke the Watchtower down from being the sole entity, and they made congregations also part of the charity process. So they took them as being the number one, and they started bringing all of these 800 congregations in as separate charities. So each separate charity would show below 1 million, and that way they're able to escape the reporting process, if that makes sense to you.
Makes good sense. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it does.
Okay. Well, that's what they did.
So they can't be easily prosecuted. Then the government's got to go through every one of these charity cases to find out where the money is.
Bingo. That's right. Because if you don't have over $1 million, it doesn't have to be reported. And that's exactly what they did. But the Watchtower a few years ago made over $1 million. They made lots of money, more. They made like $50 million, $100 million. I think it was $100 million. But now they broke it down to 800 congregations, set them all up as charities of the Watchtower, and so they don't have to report it. And then took all this money and sent it out of the country.
And I think they have control of this. I now understand what you're talking about. Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you so much.
Well, there you go. So that's what the Watchtower is doing in Australia. Friends, I just want you to stop and think. I just want you to stop and think. If you are a Jehovah's Witness and you are kind of doubting, don't just take my word for it. All right? I'm just some lone wolf, as you might say, speaking out in the wilderness. Check it out. Check it on there. Watchtower Laundering Money Australia. You'll see the newspapers. It's in national newspapers, friends. I don't sit here and make this stuff up. This is a corrupt organization, and it needs people to look at it for what it is, a dangerous and a destructive cult. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what else is going on. Well, let's stay on this story for a little bit. You know, evidently, what I'm thinking is the Watchtower in big-time financial trouble. I mean, my mind can't help but go there when I see them not wanting to pay the victims of child abuse in Australia. I mean, that could amount to, well, some have said $100 million, over $100 million, like $120 million is the number I've been seeing floating around. So, anyways, I'm just looking at this and I'm saying, is the Watchtower, are they really in financial trouble? It's concerning me. When you're looking at financial ruin, often you see shady tactics like this. This is when you find shady tactics, is when a company is having trouble financially. So I feel that the Watchtower is in big-time financial trouble. You might disagree with me, but I mean, they have lawsuits gazoot. They're all over the place. Unbelievable. All right, you're on with us. You're on Six Screens. Yes, Randy.
I was going to say, you know, about 20 years ago, here in the United States is when they started setting up all of their different corporations, and that was for exactly the same purpose, so they wouldn't have to pay the compensation to the victims. They could just play like a shell game like they do on I've seen on TV, the streets of New York. You know, where's the pea at under the shell? And that's what I actually told that to Watchtower's attorney, and he got so mad at me for saying that. He said, "You're a Jehovah's Witness and you're saying that?" I said, "Well, that's what it is, so you get out of your liability." And, you know, because they telling everybody here in this country, oh, you need to be suing case.Jehovah, Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. That's the governing body. Well, they've got it where the money's not there. They've got it under other corporations, and they're all the time moving it from one to the other.
Well, you're absolutely right, Randy. It's a shady operation. I'm glad you're out. I'm out, and I'm glad so many other people have left it. It's unbelievable. Thank you, Randy. Well, you know, I have to say this, and I don't want to get preachy on you here tonight, but, you know, I do love God and I do love scriptures. And the Watchtower, you know, they claim to be God's organization. They claim to be this Christian, the only Christian real, the only God organization on the earth. Let's go with that. They're God's channel. But I got thinking, here they are not cooperating with the Australian government. They don't cooperate with the governments around the world when it comes to child abuse. But a scripture came to mind. A scripture, Matthew the 40th, let's see, I believe it was, I don't have the verse here in front of me, but I believe it was 540. If someone wants to sue you, take a hold of them and listen. And if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. So what they're saying here is if someone comes to you and says that, you know, I want to sue you, you did me wrong, the scriptures are saying, you know, listen to what's being said here and listen to entirely what's being said and then go along with him. So this is what I'm finding. You know, the Watchtower talks a good game when it comes to biblical thoughts, but really, are they in cooperation with the authorities as they constantly tell Jehovah's Witnesses to do and be in full cooperation with them? No, they're not. And I'm going to be playing an excerpt a little later on in the news showing you that it's just a total fraud when it comes to them obeying authorities. Okay, you're on with us. How evil. I want to, first of all, I just want to bring this up. How disgraceful is it on Jehovah's name for it to be dragged through the mud like this? Talk about bringing reproach upon Jehovah. And I want to just give you a little thought here. I got some information today from a man in Puerto Rico, a Jehovah's Witness man in Puerto Rico. And I want to let you know how evil this organization is. Now remember a couple of years ago, Hurricane Maria, well, it hit Puerto Rico. And Jehovah's Witnesses were there rebuilding kingdom halls. They rebuilt 100 kingdom halls and 2 assembly halls. That was announced on JW Broadcasting, and how the hurricane hit, but Jehovah's Witnesses were moved to action. They went in, they built the assembly halls, 2 of them, and rebuilt 100 kingdom halls. That same week, I got information today that was given to me from someone. That same week, there were over 50 kingdom halls listed for sale in Puerto Rico. So they had all these people go in, all these witness people, build all these kingdom halls up, and then 50 out of 100 was sold. They stole millions of dollars in labor and material and insurance money and sold the assets. Isn't this something? Friends, that's how evil they are. I've got people coming on. I think you're on, Anne-Marie. Go ahead. You want to say something? You're on with us.
No, I'm just listening. Part of me is laughing and part of me is shaking my head. It is so insane. You know, the Watchtower has to protect their interests, only they're not going to get their hands dirty rebuilding any kingdom hall or fixing any sewer lines or doing carpentry or swinging a hammer or doing the rewiring. Oh, no, they're going to get their little indoctrinated slaves to, you know, continue to believe that they're serving Jehovah by rebuilding their assets. I mean, they can't be losing money. Get the slaves to do the work to bring it back up to, you know, where we can sell it and keep ourselves in the lap of luxury to which we've been accustomed. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, Anne-Marie, it's just absolutely crazy. The things that we hear on the 6 screens, it's just absolutely nuts what takes place in this organization. Well, I'm trying to get a picture up here of a pedophile, a new pedophile. I don't have his picture, but I can tell you about the story. For some reason, I put pictures up here, and I go to find them. I can't find them. But let me at least tell you about the story. Another story coming across the internet this week. Another shocking Jehovah's Witness abuse case. A Jehovah's Witness elder sentenced to 9 years in prison for sexual abuse. How many more do we have to hear about? It's every week we report on child abuse in the Watchtower, so here we have another one. Well, his name is, well, he was a Jehovah's Witness elder, Brother Clifford Whiteley. Wow, Brother Whiteley. Well, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison at the Birmingham Crown Court for sexual abuse offenses he committed against a child member of the congregation over 10 years ago. Well, there you have it. How many cases are we going to hear about child abuse in the Watchtower? Now, Brother Whiteley initially denied the offenses to the police, despite the fact that he had admitted his guilt during an internal investigation of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So what he did is he told the elders that he did do this, but when the authorities began to investigate, he changed his story. Now, during the court proceedings, Brother Whiteley, well, his defense, oh my goodness, they're going to pull defense tactics out of a hat. Well, Sharon Bailey, well, she's a defense attorney, I guess evidently for the Watchtower. that stated the Jehovah's Witness refused to disclose the details of the confession to the police. Well, she wasn't. I'm sorry. She was prosecuted for the state. And the Jehovah's Witnesses claimed that it was if they released information on poor Brother Whiteley, that it would have actually went against the Data Protection Council in England. There's always something. Why can't they just come out and say this guy did it and put him in jail and that's it? Well, the judge didn't listen to it, and of course, Brother Whiteley did go to jail for. Well, he's in jail right now as we speak, and I'm so glad of that. He got a 9-year sentence. Probably should have been more, but it just wasn't one person that he abused. It was a number. Friends, we talk about this every week. I mean, I don't know how many more stories of pedophilia we can talk about here, but unbelievable. All right, let's take a look here. Friends, you know, right now we are seeing a lot going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And I just wanted to bring things up. You know, we got the COVID virus. We got the witnesses online on Zoom. They're not going to the Kingdom Hall. They're not able to go out in service. They are just kind of like in free fall. They're not really doing much of anything. But, you know, a song came to mind. If you're not speaking up, go ahead and hit *1. That will mute you. And then when you want to go talk again, hit *1 again. We got some background noise going on. But I was thinking of a song that comes to mind when I hear all of the issues Jehovah's Witnesses are faced with right now. My goodness, they're home. The organization doesn't want them going out. They want them to stay home. They don't want them to go to the store. They want them to order their groceries online if they can. No meetings, no service, dress up for Zoom. I mean, it's really terrible right now if you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I started thinking of songs. Remember the songs we used to sing as Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, what do you think would be a good song that the witnesses could play right now? What would be yes.
From house to house.
Well, that's an idea. I like to hear. That's a good idea. I got another one in mind. But if someone would like to, well, what song do you think Jehovah's Witnesses should sing right now to make them feel good, to kind of bring them into reality? Well, maybe some of them are getting sick of the organization, but what are you thinking? Jay thinks
Hello, Rick?
Yes.
Hello, this is Italy.
Yes, Italy.
I thought about another song.
Yes.
Okay. It says, oh boy, I'm not that great a singer. Keep your eyes on the prize. Da 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 da.
Well, there you go.
You keep your eyes on the prize.
Well, that's okay. Well, you did fine. I think that's a good one. I mean, they got to do something. Yeah. You know, like Jay's song, house to house, keep your eyes on the prize. I've got my own. Does anyone have a thought on what song they might be singing? Yeah? Anyone have an idea? Well, yes.
I was searching with Alexa, but she's embarrassed to see, Alexa?
Yes.
She's embarrassed because she's not human.
Yeah. Well, I can believe that. But I got a song. Jay. I got a song, Hedley. I mean, I'm thinking with the witnesses being cooped up, well, maybe they're beginning to not be so thankful to Jehovah. Maybe they're thinking, is Jehovah cursing me with the virus and no meetings and no service? Well, here we go. I want you to hear this song. I think you'll find it very fascinating. You can sing along if you like. Here it is right here. thanking God for the virus, I guess. Well, there you go. That's the song I picked. Well, I'm just thinking out loud more than anything. Are they thanking Jehovah? I mean, how can you thank Jehovah for all of the problems? I mean, they know that God is in charge. I mean, are they starting to turn on him? I don't know. I just wanted to play that.
I love that.
I just wanted to play it.
I love that.
Yeah?
I love that song. I like that song. You play more of, unless I hope it doesn't hypnotically bring us into the witnesses.
You want me to play a little more, Jay?
Yeah, whatever you want. From house to house. Yeah, something that's a more whatever. Which one hits your gut?
Well, let's take a look. Maybe we can go house to house. Let's find that. Let's see if I can get it up here quick for us. From house to house, right? From house.
Whatever you think.
From house.
From house to house. I don't know the words.
Well, let's see if we can't get it up here and see if we can't play it. From house to house. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. Let's listen to it. Well, they won't be going house to house much longer.
From house to house, from door to door, Jehovah's word we spread. From town to town, from farm to farm, Jehovah's sheep are fed. This good news that God's kingdom rules.
Well, they're not going to house much longer, Jay. So there you go.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
So, I don't know. They won't be, I don't know if they're going to be singing these songs. They try to sing during the Zoom meeting. But, I'm just looking at an organization going to pieces. I am looking at an organization that really has come to the end of the road. That's why what we do... Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Can I just throw out a tidbit?
Yeah.
I had a conversation with an elder. I have a situation where I talk to him and he says, we are offering fruit from the farm, fruit and vegetables, and you need some. So that's okay. And then I noticed another brother who helped me with a box. He went ahead and said, they were offering fruit, but I didn't take it. I can't believe they're in such debt with their bills for the lawyers, and they're offering their fruit, their rotten fruit, or whatever it is, from the farm upstate.
Yeah, well, no doubt they are, and no doubt. So, where was this brother? New York, you're saying?
He was in my neighborhood. He called me on the phone. And he says, he called me. How are you? I said, I'm fine. Would you like a box of fruit and vegetables? Because we do have them. We can bring them to you. We know you're a shut-in. I said, no, that's okay. Very nice of you. He's a kind elder. He means well, but the virus has got him. And by the way, you can't make any visits in nursing homes. I said I have a very interested friend that's in a nursing home for life, locked down because of the Kendra law. He can't leave because of the mental condition. Oh no, you're not allowed to talk to those. You're not allowed to visit them in nursing homes. No way. No more face-to-face, brother. No more face-to-face.
Well, you're absolutely right. Now, that gets my thoughts up. You're talking about that food box. Well, that is...
It's true. But it's true. I couldn't believe it. And this other brother validated it. I mentioned the virus. I say, could you help me with a box? So he helps me with a walker box. He runs, he says, my wife doesn't want me to die because of the virus. I said, what do you mean? Can't we do it in the hallway? Can do it anywhere you like. It's a walker box for a walker. Then he tells me one of his brothers died on Avenue C in Manhattan. So he was scared to hell, the poor brother. He has his bandana, and then he says to me, I think I'm not doing for Jehovah what I should anymore, but I can't take it with the mask anymore. I'm wearing my bandana. He looked like he was a good hold-up guy.
Yeah, well, those boxes got me thinking. That's what the witness is. Now, what they did is there is farm organizations around the country that have excess fruit and vegetables because restaurants are not ordering it because they're closed. So what the Watchtower has done, according to what I've read here online in researching it, the Watchtower is set up to receive these boxes. They are a religious organization, and religious organizations can apply for these boxes of excess fruit and vegetables. So what the Watchtower did is they are they're getting these boxes from these farmers, and they're making it seem like it's coming directly from the Watchtower, that the Watchtower is paying for it. The Watchtower is not paying for it, and they're not saying that. They're just coming, and I'm not sure exactly how they stated it to you, but other people that I have talked to here at Six Screens, they've told me that the elders call them up and say, we have a box of vegetables or fruit, would like to bring it to you. And they bring it to them, but they never say that it's from a farm organization. They more or less... They
clarified my thinking. Then they make me feel guilty that they gave me a box of fruit and vegetables. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, no, I get information, people writing to me here telling me that. So they give it to the people, and the people go, oh, isn't that wonderful? What a wonderful, loving organization the Watchtower is. Baloney.
Yeah, but I never had them do it before, Rick. What brought this on?
Well, what brought it on is that these guys never let a crisis go to waste. They figured, well, we can jump right in there. We can grab these boxes and give them out, and we can look like heroes. But Jay, when I'm going to tell you something here, and you're going to really now sit down when you hear this. I don't want you standing up. I know that you get a little wobbly, but I want you laying down when I tell you this. So now what they're doing is they're giving all of these boxes of fruit and vegetable out that they got for free from this excess farm growth. I mean, all over the country, people aren't selling because restaurants aren't open. So the farmers are giving this food away to religious organization. Watchtower's taking advantage of it. They're bringing you the box. They're not telling you where it's coming from. People believe it's coming from Watchtower. But here's the cruncher. Now, when they give you the box, Jay, if you took it, they more than likely would have said to you, well, Jay, now this is good. You have some food, and this means that you won't have to spend money at the grocery store this week. So if you have any excess money and would like to donate it to Watchtower, we'll be glad to accept it.
And I'm sure they would.
Yeah, well, that's a fact. I got a letter this week from a person that wrote to me here and telling me that they had a box of food, but they wanted a donation if she had money to give.
I'm glad you clarified it, because they didn't tell me it was from the farm. They didn't give me that. They didn't clarify it like the old days. They just said there's some food that's going to be spoiled. So you clarified my mind. You see, it wasn't from, I don't know where it came from. Maybe some worldly farmers, like you said.
Yeah, and here you were thinking, oh, maybe the witnesses, maybe they do have a little soft heart. Jay, I don't have a soft spot from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet for the Jehovah's Witness organization. I don't. They are...
Rick?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt your thought.
No problem. Go ahead, Dick. Yep.
When they're giving a box of food to somebody, or, fruit, vegetables, or whatever, it's a lot of omission, because they say they give you the box, and the Jehovah's Witness recipient thinks, oh, this came from the farm, the Watchtower farm. That's what they're thinking. But it didn't. It came from, as you alluded to, organizations, farming organizations that sell it.
Yeah. Well, Dick, that's exactly right. Yeah, you got it. You've been around enough. Your antenna is up. You're picking up on this. Thank you, Dick.
Right now? No. It wasn't you.
All right. All right. Well, anyways, we have got a number of people in the green zone. If you'd like to speak up, you're on with us right now. Go ahead, say hello to us. If not, we'll move to the next story. You want to speak up? You're on with us. All right. So let's go on. So anyways, we report every week here on the Jehovah's Witness organization. We know their tactics. We know what they're up to, and they're up to no good. They always are. They never want to do anything that's going to make life easy for people. Everything they do, it's make your life more miserable. So anyways, we talked about the abuse, the elder in England. We talked about, let's do this. The Kingdom Song. We talked about the Kingdom Song we like. So I'm just going to bring this up right now. I wanted to bring this up tonight because it's really important to bring this up because you guys know it. I know it. The Watchtower, their entire business model has changed. Have you noticed that? The entire Jehovah's Witness business model is changed. This is not your grandfather's organization any longer. What I'm going to do here tonight, I was on jw.org this week, and Tony Morris, he was the one that was found up there in New York in a liquor store buying $1,000 worth of Macallan Scotch. So he was on jw.org within the last week. I want to play a part of the video. I just want you to see some of this. If you're on the Six Screens radio network, you'll hear it. If you're on Facebook, you're going to see it. If you're on the video suite, you're going to see it as well. So I'm going to put this video up. I want you to listen to Tony Morris from JW Broadcasting. And we're going to go, 3 minutes in. And we're going to see what he says. Let's just go over here right before we do that, though. Let me just do one thing so that we don't lose anything here. I really think you're going to find this really fascinating. So stay with us. We're going to get it up right now. I just want to take a couple of notes here because when I put videos on, sometimes when the video's playing, I can't get at the notes. So let's bring it on now. Let's get the video up and playing. This is from JW Broadcasting this week, Tony Morris. Let's see what he has to say. Let's get it down here so we can see it. Let's get it up in full mode here.
In the face of this pandemic, we've made dramatic adjustments to our activities all over the world, including how we meet.
Hold on one second, folks. I'm just going to... What I got to do here is I got to
preach,
get in here and
try to how we associate with one another.
Just give me 1 second to clean
this. We've even had to make adjustments.
Hold on 1 second, Tony. Let's get this up so you guys can see it. I want you to see it. And let's put it on duplication.
To the adjustment.
All right, let's do this right now. You can see. Here's Tony Morris.
Adjustments with changing conditions. As you know, some of these changes have come very quickly. And we want to commend you for your obedience to theocratic direction. We love you all very much and want to keep you safe while helping you to maintain a good spiritual routine. As we think about what happens next, it's important to remember that we're not all experiencing this global crisis the same way. In some parts of the world, the coronavirus is beginning to spread more quickly. In other places, outbreaks appear to be somewhat contained for now, and governments are already easing restrictions. So how will this affect our theocratic activity?
Well, that's Tony, and we're going to play these excerpts, but I want you to hear him. Friends, I'm going to go on the record to say here tonight. Now, don't take it to the bank and cash it. But I'm going to go on the record to say here tonight that it's going to be a long time, perhaps never again, the Jehovah's Witnesses will be meeting in a Kingdom Hall. This is an alarming talk by Tony Morris, governing body member. So let's check it out. Let's see what he has to say I'm going to be playing excerpts of it, but I want you to listen. He's talking about the COVID virus. He's talking about they're an organization that really loves people, and they want to be careful with this virus. This is nothing more than a tactic to keep them controlled in Zoom. Listen to what he has to say. If you're listening in, please, if you would, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you right now. If you could just stay muted. All right. And that way there we won't have all this background noise. So here's Tony. I want you to listen.
Yes. Well, as things open up in various regions, we're going to be guided by the principle in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 16. Proverbs 14 and verse 16, where it says, "The wise one is cautious and turns away from evil, but the stupid one is reckless and overconfident." In this pandemic, recklessness and overconfidence have literally cost people their lives. But as the proverb says, the wise one is cautious. So we'll continue to take a cautious approach.
Now let me just explain to you what he's saying. Governing body member Morris is saying to take a cautious approach. You want to be a wise one. He's going to come on here telling you that, the virus is out there. We don't want to go out and cause any problems. He's telling you ahead of time. Now look, we talked about this many times before on the 6 screens. What a mind control cult group does is they tell you before they tell you, then they tell you while they are telling you, and then they tell you what they told you. Morris is now giving us a little hint. He is telling us ahead of time, I think the meetings and the field service is over. I really do. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. Let's listen more to Tony Morris, governing body member of the Jehovah's Witnesses.
In general, we'll allow more time after governments loosen a particular restriction before we resume a theocratic activity. This will allow the organization to monitor the impact that any lifting of restrictions has on the spread of the virus. The Coordinators Committee of the governing body recently shared some valuable principles with branch committees around the world to help guide them as governments ease restrictions related to the spread of COVID-19. We'd like to share 3 of those points with you now. We're confident that obediently holding to these principles will not only save lives, but glorify Jehovah. First, out of respect for our Creator, we place a high value on life. Some governments may choose to lift restrictions and...
Oh, yeah. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they place a high value on life. I mean, do they really? How many Jehovah's Witnesses have died for refusing a blood transfusion? How many Jehovah's Witnesses have committed suicide because they were shunned? How many Jehovah's Witnesses have ruined their life because of taking antidepressants and because of being so messed up mentally because of mind control? Oh, yes, Tony Morris, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they really put life in a high position. That is a bunch of bunk. Friends, I want you to listen to this. This is something that is going to be permanent. He is telling you ahead of time, the meetings, the service, everything looks like it might not come back again, but you be the judge. Let's listen.
Reopen businesses, in part, for economic reasons. But simply put, our decisions are motivated by love, not money.
Wait a minute. Did I hear that the Watchtower's decisions are motivated by love and not money? Wait a minute. That is totally contrary to the way I think and the way all you guys think. They're not about being loving. They're all about money. Let's listen in.
So we'll continue to make the safety of our brothers a priority over personal convenience or preference. Ecclesiastes 7:12 says this, Ecclesiastes 7:12, wisdom is a protection, just as money is a protection. But the advantage of knowledge is this, wisdom preserves the life of its owner. So, in harmony with that, our aim has been and will continue to be to make wise, balanced decisions that protect lives. As an example, back in March we made the decision to hold the Gilead graduation with no invited guests present. That was a big change. But that one decision protected so many lives here at Bethel in New York, and among those who would have been guests. Little did we know that just a short time later, New York would become an epicenter of the pandemic. We thank Jehovah for helping us to make that wise decision.
Okay, are you following this? Is this, I hope it's not making anybody, I'm thinking maybe we could get some barf bags printed with 6 screens on it, because then I could send it to you, because some of this stuff, I hope it's not making you sick. I really hope not. But I want you to hear some of this. I found this fascinating as I listened to this man on what's going on in the Watchtower. Friends, it's in free fall. Let's listen to what he has to say. It gets worse. It gets worse. Listen in.
What's the lesson? Because we place a high value on life, we need to follow direction, even if it seems overly cautious or means significant changes.
Wait a minute. Now, what he's saying there, didn't we read this in a Watchtower back in 2013? Even if something comes across as sounding not sensible, that we would follow Jehovah's direction? Well, that's what he's saying. And now he's going to go in to, they're not going to have meetings because they take such a high value of life that someone might catch the virus. Well, Donald Trump tonight in Tulsa, Oklahoma, has got 50, 60,000 people meeting in a stadium. Churches are back meeting. People are marching in the streets meeting. But the Jehovah's Witnesses feel that, no, they don't want you going out. They want you to pay attention to the authorities. Listen to what they have to say. Let's hear what else Tony has to say.
In our theocratic activities, that obedience will help to keep all of us as safe as possible. In the following video, note how this has proved to be the case for the brothers in South America, where the outbreak of COVID-19 cases has surged in recent weeks. We'll hear from Brother Anthony Carvalho, who serves on the Brazil Branch Committee, and from Brother Jaime Tamayo, who serves on the Ecuador Branch Committee. Their reports show the benefits of obedience, even if at first we don't understand the reasons for the direction.
The outbreak of COVID-19 has already taken tens of thousands of lives in Brazil. And so we've come to appreciate how the early direction we received from the organization was a real protection. One example is a sister who is a medical doctor. She said that when the branch office gave direction to suspend meetings at the Kingdom Hall, she honestly did not agree. There weren't any confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the region.
Do you see what they're trying to do here? There's many witnesses right now that are saying, why can't we meet back at the Kingdom Halls? Why can't we have meetings like we used to? So now they have these so-called brothers come on and say, don't question the organization. Jehovah is directing them. So this one sister in Brazil is saying, well, why can't we meet? And listen what the outcome is.
And the local government had not ordered any restrictions. So she felt the brothers might be exaggerating the threat a bit. But then she reasoned on how Jehovah has sometimes given his people direction that didn't make sense from a human standpoint. And so she decided to obey. Well, shortly after congregation meetings were suspended, the government put restrictions in place. COVID-19 began to spread rapidly in the region, and sadly, many have died. Our sister said that she now sees the direction from the organization was a real protect.
So there you go. Even if it doesn't make sense from a human standpoint. Well, you know, they know this ahead of time. I'm wondering, I mean, I tell you all the time, they tell you before they tell you. So anyways, I just think it's absolutely crazy. We're going to take a look here. I'm going to kind of move this around a little bit. But it's just fascinating to me. It's just absolutely fascinating how the Watchtower can pull this all off, and the witnesses just go along with everything. I'm going to move forward to about 11:45. I want you to... yes, you can. Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but there's just so much to say of what you've already presented, Rick. For example, in your last short clip, how clever and mind manipulative and emotionally manipulative and faith manipulative the governing body was by presenting this sister who said, well, it didn't make sense, but I decided to follow Jehovah's direction, and then it's the organization's direction. They are so incredibly sneaky and manipulative of how they portray and are so able to portray and make Jehovah equal the organization, and the organization, aka governing body, aka imperfect men, aka tight pants Tony, to get you to believe in your heart without thinking about it in your brain that the organization and whatever they tell you to do or not do is from Jehovah. And the other one where they said from Brazil, tens of thousands have died, that means at least over 20,000 in Brazil alone have died. Is that true? Is there any evidence to back it up? And the other thing they keep portraying is obedience saves lives. We value life. Obedience keeps you safe, aka obeying us will keep you safe. Obeying us will keep you from being put out of God's organization and dying in Armageddon. They say what they're saying, but they never actually say what they're saying, but what they're saying still gets across so well. Thank you, Rick.
Oh, Anne-Marie, that's well, you got the number, I'll tell you that. It's time to start kicking butts here because, I mean, this is getting just over the top. But I'm going to play one more clip. Now, this really, I want you to listen very carefully, but I don't want you standing up. I want you sitting down. I'm going to move this clip ahead. It's only a 17-minute clip, but I want you to hear this. And we'll keep it on for about a minute or two, and I want you to hear what he says next. Friends, what I am saying is I want you to, if you're a Jehovah's Witness listening into the program, friends, you might never go back to another Jehovah's Witness meeting. Now, I can't say it for sure, so don't hold me to it, but from what I see right now, from the vantage point that I'm in, it looks like there will never be another Jehovah's Witness meeting. It looks like you will not be going door to door. I'll explain my thought on that after the clip. Let's listen to the clip. It's coming up next on the 6 Screens.
It brings glory to Jehovah. The third principle we want to share is this. Do not develop a casual attitude. As this situation stretches on month after month, it can be hard to stay vigilant. We might be inclined to relax, lower our guard, especially as certain restrictions are removed. However, Proverbs 22 reminds us, the shrewd one sees the danger and conceals himself, but the inexperienced keep right on going and suffer the consequences. So we need to remain cautious and be ready for additional outbreaks. Many experts say we may be dealing with the spread of this virus for some time until the successful treatments and vaccinations become widely...
There he is. He's telling you before they tell you. They're going to be dealing with this for some time. don't plan on going back to the meetings in the near future. Listen in.
Available, possibly in 2021 or beyond. This means that the adjusted arrangements we have in place for congregation meetings, assemblies, and the field ministry may need to continue for some time. When we do begin returning to our normal arrangements, it will be a gradual process.
If they do, this is going to continue for some time. And then if they do, he says, if we do, did you notice that? If we do return to our normal arrangements, it'll be gradual. So there you have it. I just wanted to play that tonight because I studied this, I looked at it. There's something very strange going on in the Watchtower, and I'm really beginning to think that it's over. They're selling the Kingdom Halls off. They are rewriting history as we're listening in here tonight, and this is a well-handled, well-orchestrated event that's taking place right now in the Watchtower. If you got a comment...
How old was that clip, Rick?
I'm sorry?
How old was that clip?
A few days, just a few days.
It's from this week?
This month. Yeah, this I believe it was this week, yep.
When did they let the churches start coming back yet? In Massachusetts, for example.
Oh, Massachusetts, for example, that would have been on June 7th, I believe.
Oh, okay. Because it hasn't been that long. I mean, it's been a while in some places. Like, I think in some places it's been up to 3 weeks. But, yeah, I guess, I mean, maybe this sounds like one of his more sober moments. So maybe he's, telling he's got to be careful, because if he says when we start, then he'll get more pressure. But yeah, people are. It doesn't matter whether you're a JW or whatever you are. Everybody's fed up with this being forced to be indoors. Everybody's like, when the riots started, all of a sudden it was okay to not social distance anymore, and pretty soon, I know from the very beginning, I've been watching some fundamentalist type websites and stuff, like churches that didn't want to follow the orders, and some of them never did, in fact. And I think that eventually people are going to say enough is enough. I know that JWs are more sucker for authority than most. Like we were real suckers for whatever authorities said. Them first, and then whatever the government said, that was canon law as well. But more and more people are starting to say this is not just this particular virus, but just in general, that governments can be full of it. I think I'm not challenging you or anything, Rick. I'm just saying we've probably got to wait and see how long. But there is something to what you're saying. If they can keep people just listening to them online, and they can play with their heads a bit, and see how obedient everybody's going to be, it's another way of them yielding their power. I know back when I was a JW, I suspected this business that they wanted power over us, but I kind of thought, okay, well, I guess the Bible says something like this. But it's become pretty plain that their main thing is obedience no matter what. Because it's like when he says, why don't you need to be obedient even if you don't know the reason why? Like that's a crock of BS right there, right? Because they have so much power over these people, they can tell them the reason why. Right? They have no reason. If they want obedience on something, they can give the reason.
Well, that's exactly right,
So,
Brian. In fact, what they said is, even if it sounds unreasonable from a human standpoint, obey Jehovah. How foolish is that?
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, let Brian finish and then come right back on. Go ahead, Brian.
No, that's it. That's okay. That's all I really want to say.
Okay. All right, go ahead, sir. You're next. Yep.
Hey, Rick and Stan. I'm just ready to explode listening to this stuff. It's sickening. These guys need their tongue cut out. They're double talkers. They told us for years we must obey God as ruler rather than man. They never followed the government. They never did. They never went to war. They never did anything. They said, here's what they said when I was in there, and probably you too, Rick. They said that they would preach to the end no matter what man did. And they said when man tried to stop them for whatever reason, they said it would be like putting a finger in Jehovah's eye, and that would be the end of them. And they stopped all that. These are double-talking snakes. And you know what? They're a real estate company. They're doing the great sell-off like we've talked about on this show before. They're clearing real estate. They're telling the people to blindly follow. And it's sickening. It's sickening to hear them. I got to tell you, I just couldn't take it when you were playing it because it's sick. They're liars. They're crap. They're garbage people. And they talk out both sides of their mouths. Could you imagine? That talk that guy gave was like an assembly talk. And they went outside the city and did what Jehovah told them not to do, and they were destroyed. Follow us blindly, people, like you've been doing for 100 years. 100 years of false prophecy. And you know something else, Rick? They've been telling everybody lately, I've seen online, they're writing these letters to the congregation, and they're saying, hey, we're not, we're not like anointed. We're just men. Well, why are you playing mediator? Why are you playing God? Like Anne Marie said, 1 minute they're saying, and Jehovah, they're linking them to God as mediator, and then when things don't work out, they separate themselves right away. We're just imperfect men. But anyway, Rick, it's a great sell-off. The halls are gone. The preaching work is done. Just like we've said before, the carts, what's that, Angela? What church? The Brothers Church? Oh, my brother said they sold all the churches where he lived. He's like, my God, Dan, it's a ghost town. He's up north in Michigan, and he says everywhere they look, the halls are being sold off, one after another. He said he can't believe it. But, Rick, it's disgusting. We had this stuff shoved down our throat. We've been lied to. We told they would preach until Jehovah destroyed them. We must obey God as ruler rather than men. And now they're saying we must follow the government to the T. They're going along with this fake pandemic. It's fake. I don't care what anybody says. It's just a bunch of BS, and they're right along with it. And, the Masons, if they are Masons, part of their obligation is having their tongues cut out for being heathens. That's it, Rick.
Well, no, Dan, you're absolutely right on. It is disgusting. It's despicable.
Disgusting.
But that's what mind control cults do. Okay, we get some more people in the green zone. If you want to speak up, go ahead right now.
Rick?
Yes, Anne-Marie.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to Dan for his incredibly lovely comment. I love that he called the governing body double-talking snakes. I think that should be put up in blinking big letters on a huge sign, double-talking snakes. He is so correct. The way Tight Pants Tony gets up there, he's actually reading from God's Word about wisdom, but they word it in such a way as to make the indoctrinated program Watchtowerite's mind see that scripture as pointing to following the governing body, if they say up or down, sideways, right or left, you follow them, and that's the wise course to do. Obedience at all costs. We represent Jehovah to equate them with Jehovah. It is so true, and whatever suits their agenda, that's what they promote, and one way or another, they are always able to take God's word and manipulate it. This is how much respect they have for the God they say they represent, and how much respect they have for the word of the God they say they represent is they will take God's word and manipulate it and twist it in however way they need to make it seem as if the Bible is supporting whatever they may be saying at any given time. Thank you, Rick.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on that. Yes, they do. They use Scripture and, oh, God is speaking to us and helping you. What a sham. Thank you, Anne Marie. Well, we got some more in the greens.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, one last point now that I'm a little calmer. What's interesting is this will play in beautiful harmony with probably 80% of the publishers, because 80% of the publishers will be glad there's never another meeting. How many people make every excuse not to go to a meeting? Most of the people I know my age, they don't want to go back. I mean, they say they're witnesses and they say this is Jehovah's organization, but they don't want to go back. So this actually plays perfect for them. They can be sincerely trying to protect them. We sincerely care about your soul. We sincerely care about our government and what they say BS. But you know what I mean? This is going to play perfect for the sell-off, because you know why, Rick? Nobody wants to go back anyway. How many times can you hear Paradise Tomorrow? How many times can you hear Jehovah's going to kill everybody? It doesn't sound like any end in sight to me, other than they're just going to let you stay home. And I have a feeling 80% of the people are going to rejoice. They're going to go, you've got to be kidding me. We don't get... I mean, they've shrunk it down to nothing already. They've taken the magazines, shrunk them down. They've shrunk down the meetings, field service. Everything's been shrunk down to nothing. So they're gone, Rick. The part that we've known, the part that you've talked about has toppled. It's gone over. And, we're going to probably see some slimy stuff. Like you said, they've already planted the seed. We may not never go back to the meeting. They're going to say it again, and say it again until that's in them. They don't even know it's programmed into them. But right now, that seed has been planted. It'll be reaffirmed. And then it'll be, look, we've made the decision based on the conclusion of the system of things that we're going to do everything from home, like 3ABN, 3 Angel Broadcasting. We're going to broadcast out of Warwick. And it's going to be a totally changed. It's toppled, Rick. It's over for them. As far as witnesses as we know it, Kingdom Halls, preaching, all that's all done away with. It's all going to be done by letters, or maybe they're going to print out letters that they mail out to people. But the witnessing work as we know it is over. I'm going to declare it. It's over. I'm speaking it into existence. It's over. It's going to be television and broadcasting, just like we're watching now.
Well, you got it. You're talking about letters. I got letters here. Look at these. I got letters coming in all over the place. People writing letters to the people in the complex I live in. So anyways, it sounds, let me put it this way. It doesn't seem like the Watchtower is in any hurry to resume daily activities. The governing body are looking at this as a reprieve. They got cut some slack here. It's time to reformulate. That's exactly what the governing body is doing right now. They are streamlining and updating their doctrine, and they're trying quietly to win all of these pesky child sex abuse cases. And they're selling off, as Dan said, and I say, they're selling off most of the Kingdom Halls. The longer they take, the harder it's going to be for everyone to go back. Think about it. The longer it takes, and I don't know if the witnesses are going to go back to Kingdom Hall meetings. Imagine getting a year off from service, so to speak, and then having to go back again. People are writing letters, as I just showed you. They're making phone witnessing, and this is not really effective. It really isn't. And the Watchtower is trying to adjust to a new state of affairs in the world they are in, and it's not really working. And the future is less meetings in real life and more online activities. That's how I see it. I don't see them going back probably for the next year or two, if ever. Physical meetings in the Kingdom Halls may not return because of the cost of lawsuits. It will compel them to sell off property. that they can increase their cash flow. Now, let me just explain what I'm saying here. You know, having an online meeting, no one's going to get molested online. The witness organization is sick of congregations reporting child molesters and the news media picking up on it. So there you have it. You can really see why, one reason why they want to sell all this real estate off and go online. And not only that, now I want you to think about this. We are in a national pandemic. We are in a country right now that is on the verge of going under because of the monumental cost, trillions of dollars given out by the government to be able to keep this country flowing. So residential properties are going to have some serious problems in the future. You're going to see a lot of foreclosures, not only residentially, but also commercial. So some of these buildings that you see in New York and these major cities, these buildings are all closed up. Even where I live right here in a small town in Massachusetts, I see buildings all boarded up. I mean, this is loss of rent revenue. A lot of these businesses will not come back again. Real estate values are going to tank. So the Watchtower right now, in my estimation, is reaching out. They're trying to sell as much property as they can before something really happens. We're going to see real estate crumble here in the next few years. Think about it. 30 million, over 30 million people are out of work right now. That means a lot of mortgages aren't going to be paid. That means a lot of storefronts are going to close. Massive property values, it's going to decline big time. Restaurant, bars, retail shops, they're evaporating. They're not going to come back. Simply put, the properties that the Watchtower has right now, they want to sell. They want to get the quick cash and get it now before the prices go way down. Friends, they're trying to stop the hemorrhage. They are paying out tremendous amounts of money to lawsuits. So there you have it. In fact, the international branch offices are no longer required to actually get involved in starting new branch facilities. They're now looking at this recording studio. All the branch offices, many of them are closing down. They're looking at a recording studio where they can just live stream events like I just played for you here on the 6 screens. And all of this can be done in a single building without a campus-wide branch and thousands of Bethelites that they have to take care of. Friends, the Watchtower business model is changing. It is changing rapidly. And when I stop and think about it, the only way the witnesses are preaching right now, like I just showed you the letters I've been getting, they're witnessing through letters and through the telephone. But friends, who really reads the letters? Are you going to read a letter written to you by a Jehovah's Witness? You're going to throw it right in the barrel, right in the junk. And are you really going to witness? Are you going to listen to a phone call with all these robo phone calls coming in? Hi, my name is Cindy. I'm with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Would you like to have a Bible study? Slam the phone down. It's not going to happen. Stick a fork in them, as I say. It's over. They realize that their only source of income, the Jehovah's Witness organization realizes that their only source of income are current members who will be encouraged to donate. And selling off properties is another way that they're trying to get income. So there you go. I'm just thinking out loud here, friends. It's over. The Watchtower as we know it is over. COVID-19 and the lack of an actual Armageddon ever happening has forced the Watchtower into a corner where their only choice is to make do with less. Yes, that's exactly right. This coronavirus perhaps could be the death nail of the Watchtower. They're trying to raise cash. They're supporting few and few Bethelites. They're letting them go, those that aren't essential, and expect zero growth And we have to also realize that they have to get this current membership to donate heavily. In order to do this, they will have to become more cult-like with actual enforcement. Boy, I'll tell you, really putting a gun to the witnesses' back to get them to donate. Now, also I come across, how about the Bethelites? Are they bringing in more Bethelites? No. No way they're bringing in more Bethelites. In fact, many Bethelites are working from home as free workers for the Watchtower. They call them remote Bethelites, and this is going on as we speak. Anything that can be done on a computer is now being done by Bethelites in a remote fashion. They're doing it at home, and boy, the Watchtower is saving big time money on this. They're not taking up a room at the Watchtower headquarters. They're not eating their food, and etc. So there you have it. In fact, most of the animators and those that work on web development, they are remote Bethelites. So that's a term. That's a new term. Johnny the Bethelite spoke about it. But remote Bethelites. So there you have it. The Watchtower is changing big time. You're on with us. Go ahead, speak up. I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Rick, I really appreciate your bringing out the selling off. You brought it up in such a way I did not think of before, and I thank you. Remember a while back, people were kind of wondering, why is Watchtower now redesigning their new Kingdom Halls to look like kind of like office buildings? And we were saying, oh, they're thinking ahead because they're going to sell them, because they look good for a business. A business might be looking for a place, to have their business at. Oh, it would be better to sell, and they would be more likely to make a good sale. But now, because so many businesses have closed, I was watching on Inside Edition, and they were reporting over 3 million, I believe, 300,000 businesses, small businesses, have been forced out because of the situation. And then you have the rioters that are tearing up businesses. So you have basically our whole country, the fabric of the economy, completely disintegrating and crumbling. And as you brought out, Watchtower is seeing the writing on the wall, and it's like, sell. Remember in Trading Places, Ralph Bellamy and the other guy who played his brother, sell. Because they realize they've been had. They put all their money in the pocket, and now they can see it all falling apart. Sell. Thank you, Rick.
Well, there you go. Hey, listen, we've got so much to discuss tonight, but we got a number of programs coming up tonight on the 6 screens. You don't want to. Yes.
I'm so sorry. Matt Christopher is here in the suite. This is Carrie, and he wants you to know that he can't dial in or something like that, but he wants you to know that he's in the suite.
All right. Well, let me just check for a second. There's no reason why he can't dial in unless we just have the room filled. Lots of people are coming in tonight on our radio telephone network. Let me just check one thing. He's not blocked. Tell him to keep dialing in, and he'll be able to get in. I'm not sure what he means, but no, there's no reason why he can't come in. It's open. Nobody's blocked. I just checked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he said, I cannot ring in even when unmuted. So, okay, now he says, I am on the phone. Okay, there you go.
Hello. All right, there we go. All right, well, you have to keep trying. If anyone's trying to come into the 6 screens, we have a lot of traffic, and sometimes there's too many people trying to come in at once. So if you can't get in the first time, just keep trying. That is one of the little snafus we get going on here, because our program is just gaining a lot of momentum. More and more people are listening in because they're leaving the Watchtower. But if you're trying to come into the 6 screens via the telephone line, you might get a prompt saying, or at least a recording saying that the room is full, no more activity tonight. Whatever they say, the room is locked. They have all kinds of things they say. But just keep trying, because the nature of this program is people come in, they listen for a while, they leave, and so that opens the door for you. So by all means, keep trying. Don't give up. All right. So
he says he's. Oh, okay, Rick.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carrie.
He says I'm reading the screen. He says he's on the phone, and I could have swore I heard him say something, but he's on the phone now.
All right, Matt, are you on the phone with us? Matt from Australia. If you're on, speak up. Say hello. Matt from Australia. Are you on with us? Say hello to us. *1. Hit *1. All right. Well, we'll deal with.
Just to let you know, he is here and he is trying. So.
All right. Well, no, thank you, Kerry. I mean, we can only. That's what we do in a live program. We can only. I don't know if he's trying something different or what, but he always has been able to come on. So we'll just have to see. Hello.
There he is.
We can hear you, Matt. Yeah, you on with us?
No, this is not Matt. This is the same thing. Maybe for a while, I think you couldn't hear me. Okay, I have nothing to say.
You have nothing to say? Well, wait a minute. You can't. No, can't. Wait a minute. You can't come on the 6 screens and say you have nothing to say. You must have something to say.
I mean it like that. I meant I was trying to give you the same message that Carrie gave you, but it seemed like I couldn't be heard at first. But like what it must be like for elders, not having to go to the Kingdom Hall, I think all the witnesses are rejoicing. They don't have to get up and get ready and go out to the Kingdom Hall. They're rejoicing.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, at least you said something, Zach. At least you said something, you know? so that's...
And I would think, I don't... more work for brothers to do because they've got those meetings and fewer people. I don't know if it's more work for them, but not to have to get up and really get dressed and go across the city or whatever they have to do to get to the hall, that has to be wonderful for them. Pioneers must not like it, their time. People are not like, don't have to make a lot of time. They probably love, that they don't have to go from door to door. And I'm happy not to see the carts on the street.
Well, there you go. No, that's good. I mean, the witnesses are happy. We're happy. We are seeing the Watchtower in free fall. I mean, this is some of the happiest moments of my life. After doing this program for 15 years, we're finally starting to see a collapse. We are watching. We are counting down the last days of the Watchtower. Hey, listen, in fact, I have to say this, too. Things are changing in the Watchtower. I mean, they want to go to this online meeting stuff. But, I'm thinking it's really good, as I brought up a little earlier, by going online rather than meeting in kingdom halls. This is going to protect the leadership from connection to child abuse in the congregations. There'll be no congregations. It's going to be an online meeting, so without physical halls, without official meetings, Watchtower can always play the defense that they never knew, nor were in a position to know, or prevent abuses to happen during COVID, since they explicitly told members not to get together for official meetings. If they gathered, they did so on their own without Watchtower blessing. So that's what I'm thinking. This could really play into this idea of kind of stopping all of these abuse cases. Hey, wait a minute. We're not, the Watchtower's defense could be, we're not even meeting. We're online. So, don't blame us if anything happens. Boy, I'll tell you what, these guys, they always seem to come out smelling like a rose. Now, will the door-to-door work continue? Will it return? I don't think so. I mean, can you imagine people going to the door with a mask on? Who is going to want to do that? Our requirements have been decreased. I mentioned last week on the 6 screens that the Watchtower is now understanding that pioneers, special pioneers, well, they're having a hard time getting their time in. Just sitting there writing letters or trying to call people. and then even the writing of the letters and the calling of people is only to certain people they can write to. This is going to be very hard getting your time. Imagine trying to get, 40, 50, 60 hours a month in. Almost impossible. So the Watchtower recognized this, and they're cutting them some slack. They don't have to put as many hours in. Yes, go ahead.
With a lot of the witnesses, remember, a lot of them were able to pad their time by counting the time it took them to get ready, or timing, starting their time from the time they met for service or when they got in the car. Then they take their little donut shop breaks. Remember all that? Their McDonald's breaks, and maybe play something with a waitress, or talk to a waitress, or talk to a person working at the establishment where they got their donuts and their coffee, so they could, quote unquote, legally say that they were in the preaching work all that time. They can't do that when they have to do it from home. What a drudgery. Thank you, Rick.
Well, it is a drudgery. So I'm thinking that, who's going to go door to door to mask, especially the elderly. As a matter of fact, one person that gave me some information here at the Six Screens a couple of weeks ago, he was an 85-year-old man, and, well, it was the son of the man that gave me some information. He said that his father was told not to go in the ministry anymore ever, that the virus could attack him. He's 85 years old, so he said that the witness work ended for him. So that was kind of interesting. And who's going to go wanting to knock on doors, rusty doorknobs, and handling them? I mean, we're going to be... I'm looking at an organization that is changing as we speak, and this is an excellent opportunity for the Jehovah's Witness organization to go online, to sell all the kingdom halls off, keep the profits, ramp up their calls for donations, and this, of course, would increase their control. Wow, I tell you, everything just... the Watchtower always seems to come out smelling like a rose. Even when things are bad, they make out like... I tell you what, it makes you really sick. So anyways, the governing body, as I am understanding, they are telling their members not even to contact people via text or any other way unless they personally know them. Wow. This screams cult. They do not want you even texting anyone. If you don't know a person, don't write a letter, don't text, don't call. They're just afraid you might reach somebody that's going to start blasting you out. Unbelievable. May it fall. May the Watchtower organization fall apart completely. Maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see that within the next couple of years. So there you have it. I'm just thinking what this COVID has done for many people. Many people are stuck in lockdown, especially the witnesses. The governing body doesn't even want the witnesses going out. They are just paranoid over this virus. They're saying even if you don't go out, just order food. That's what they're instructing the witnesses to do. Now I'm thinking, I got thinking today, with this being struck in lockdown, can't go outside, can't do anything, can't go to a movie. Is this, maybe this could be a small taste of what it would be like after Armageddon. Think about it. You couldn't go out. There were no shops open, no restaurants, no cinemas, no entertainment. I hate that. I like going out and doing things. But right now you can't. But that's what Jehovah's Witnesses would be feeling after Armageddon. Nothing's going to be open, no shops, and everyone's going to be killed, almost everyone on the planet except Jehovah's Witnesses. Boy, that's a nice thought, huh? Now, at least even now with the COVID virus, at least we still have the internet, we have electricity, we have running water, we have food, and even the food can be delivered to your own house if you want. Well, I'm thinking at least there's something halfway decent good. So what's it gonna be like after Armageddon? Will there still be elders? Oh yeah, there'll still be elders. Will there still be judicial meetings? Oh yeah, there'll be judicial meetings. How about disfellowshipping? Oh yeah, there'll still be disfellowshipping. And there'll be meetings 7 days a week. Field service. Will there be field service after Armageddon? Oh yeah. You'll still have to teach the resurrected ones, right? You'll have to chaperone those who want to date someone. So you'll still be involved in the witness world. Friends, this is not very difficult to imagine. Based on the Jehovah's Witness publications, its dictatorship is actually saying this. So anyways, they just want you to put a smile on. They want you to wear a fake smile every day, and that's all you need to know. Friends, this is just absolutely over the top. The Jehovah's Witnesses, many are leaving. They have had enough. Wow, isn't that something? I'll tell you what, I enjoy doing JW World News. It keeps me right up to date on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. But you know, I also came across another story that I think is very important for you guys to know, and it's concerning the HIPAA violation. Now HIPAA, well that is including, you know, what hospitals, how they keep records on you, they're confidential, they can't share them, nurses and doctors can't share them. But Jehovah's Witness health and legal professionals, well, they're breaking privacy laws, and they're reporting patients and clients to elders. Did you know that? Yes, in fact, nurses and doctors who actually take an oath not to report confidential matters health-wise, they're reporting witnesses who come to the hospital with various circumstances to the elders. I came across a story this week online that really got me thinking, and it's concerning, this is an unbelievable story, friends. In fact, it's concerning a 21-year-old person, Jehovah's Witness. On his birthday, he went out drinking at a bunch of different clubs. Well, that happens. A young guy goes out, a couple of bars, has some drinks. So he was a witness at the time, and after exiting the last club he was in, he walked to the car, and a group of people quite a distance away were arguing. As he waited to get into his car, a shot rang out, and he was hit. He was rushed to the hospital and treated. It was not life-threatening injury, although he did lose a lot of blood and suffered an amputation of one of his fingers. He had definitely been drinking, as a lot of people do when they turn 21. That's what people do. Now, at the hospital, one of the nurses, well, she was a Jehovah's Witness. Oh, my goodness. So she said, the man who was shot said that she was really rude to him. He did not know her, but she went home and told her elder husband what happened. Then he contacted the friends and the elders in his congregation, and they got a hold of him. And this happened several hundred miles away from where this particular person lived that's reporting the story. But the friend who was shot was furious, and he told his elder he was going to contact an attorney because of the HIPAA laws. The elder's response is, I wouldn't do that. Watchtower has a very good amount of lawyers. Can you imagine that? So, tattling on this guy because he was out drinking, and now the elders know about it. Now, this nurse was on her own. Watchtower is not going to help her. She's going to lose her license if it's reported. She will get fired, and I hope she is having a good job washing windows, because that's probably what she's going to be reduced to. Isn't that something? Jehovah's Witnesses reporting one another, nurses, hospital professionals reporting one another if they come into the emergency room for other reason. And there's a lot of cases like that, friends. But the Watchtower is not going to touch or help these people in any way. but they take an oath. When a nurse, a doctor, a health worker, they take an oath that they're not going to report anything. But evidently, the laws of the land are trumped by their thought of obey God as ruler rather than man. So if a witness who is a healthcare professional sees someone coming to the hospital, and whether they take blood or whether they had an abortion or whether they were just rowdy or drunk or taking drugs or whatever, the witnesses seem to think they should report that to the elders. Friends, that's a HIPAA hospital violation, and it should be stopped, but it still goes on in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So what do you think? I'd like to hear from you. This is JW World News. You're on with us. Have you heard of anything like that at all? Where witnesses would actually go against the law in reporting people? Well, I mean, the witnesses are rats. We all know that. They rat on you for anything. But that's what goes on in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So anyways, I mean, there's more we could talk about, but I just wanted to bring a few things up here tonight. We do this program for 15 years, and we've never missed a Saturday night. And I just want to bring up here tonight, it's a good time, some people have donated here to the Six Screens, and I appreciate that for donating. But I'm going to ask you not to donate money to the Six Screens. I want to let you know, first of all, I'm very thankful that people do that. But I would rather have you take the money and give it to somebody that can really use it. And maybe you have a friend that's suffering right now because of the coronavirus. Maybe you could give some money to him or her. It could just be a little bit. Sometimes all a person needs is $10-20 to get them on their way. Maybe they need some gas money. Maybe they need a little food money. So I'm asking you, I don't want you to donate to the Six Screens. And I thank those that have. But I want you to know I'd rather have you give it to somebody that really, really needs it. So if you have a friend, you have a relative, or just a person on the street, and you feel like they really could have some help, give them a few bucks. Really, right now people are hurting, so I'd rather have you do that, friends. But I do thank all of those that have donated, but you don't have to donate to the Six Screens. Give it to someone that really, really needs it. Matt Christopher, are you on tonight? Are you on the telephone line with us? Your program's going to be coming up. I know there's been some issues, but your program's coming up next. I just wanted to see if you're ready to go. Speak up, Matt.
Okay, Rick, it's Carrie again. Apparently, we were talking about him if he could get through, and he said that he was unmuted, and he keeps saying hello, and nothing's happening. So I don't know whose end this is at.
Well, it's going to be on his end. The phone lines the phone lines are open. So Matt.
Yeah, well, he said he was unmuted.
Okay, Matt, I see you're unmuted. So go ahead and speak up. I see you calling in from Australia. I see your number there, Matt. Go ahead, speak up. Hit *1, Matt. Huh. Well, we're not getting him on. Matt, dial out and dial back in again. If you can hear me, dial out. Yes.
Yeah, Rich, a quick thought till we get Matt back on there. Something that Anne-Marie said a few moments ago about selling off Kingdom Halls. If you remember the Kingdom Hall on Liberty Street in Lowell, we put an addition onto it to make the Kingdom Hall, to make the Kingdom Hall larger. And we started putting in extra men's rooms and extra ladies' rooms and so forth. And
Rick.
Go ahead, Matt.
Hello, Rick.
Yes, Matt, we can hear you. What's going on?
Okay, thank you. No, that's all right. I've been having a lot of trouble, but I'll just unmute and I'll come in when it's time. Just checking.
Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, Matt, thank you. Okay, so you're coming on about 7 minutes. So hang in with us.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
No worries. Thank you. Unmuting.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. All right, Dick, you're back with us.
Yeah, just to finish my thought, we had to update everything to code, and we were telling the brothers in charge that why should we do code? We grandfathered everything, and he said the circuit overseer wants us to do everything right after code. So even 30 years ago, they were thinking about, in my opinion, selling off Kingdom Halls, and it's much easier to sell a Kingdom Hall off when it's up to code.
Well, there you go. Well, that's exactly for sure. They want you to, in fact, even a letter went out a couple of weeks ago to all the congregations from the branch offices to keep the Kingdom Halls up, maintained properly, make sure that, no vandalism, make sure the water's, run the water for a while, flush the toilets. They were giving explicit instructions on, taking care of the Kingdom Halls because nobody's meeting in them. And you know what happens when there's no activity in a building? Rodents get in there and all kinds of problems. So they want to keep these Kingdom Halls up to snuff so they can sell them off, Dick. And this has been going on for a while, but friends, this is the new way of doing business in the Watchtower. They are a real estate company. So let's just go with that. Well, thank you, Dick.
Hello, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick, it's Constance. Thank you for taking my call here.
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to say, Rick, in reference to the HIPAA rules, with regards to your last story, I just wanted to address that for just a few minutes.
Sure.
When I was in social work in San Francisco at Laguna Honda Hospital, the HIPAA rules are so very, very serious, and they still are today, that we had patients of all sorts, diabetics, people with HIV, people who had full-blown AIDS. Just you name it. We had it there at that long-term facility. Anyway, what I was going to say is that 04 was the ward for the AIDS patients. And it was so strict, and it still is today, that, say, for example, you have a husband and wife. And say, for example, he's HIV positive. Okay? It was so strict that even the nurses and doctors could not tell the wife, the spouse, that her spouse, that her husband was, that he had HIV or that he was even full-blown AIDS. So that's how serious it is, because it all comes down to legalities and they don't want to be sued. So when Watchtower crosses this line, like this gal you said who was a nurse, and she crosses the line because her husband was an elder for, whatever reason, she thinks she wants to be the snitch, on this young man. That is a serious, serious issue, and I'm sure she was brought before the nursing board with the director of nursing, and I'm sure she was fired because that is extremely serious. And the other point, Rick, I wanted to say is, the total betrayal that it causes. I've heard in the past where, maybe a sister, maybe she had an abortion. I've heard this before many years ago. Maybe she had an abortion. Maybe she was a young person that fornicated, but, she wanted to keep it quiet. She didn't want anybody to know because of all the shame and all that jazz. And someone who was in the hospital got a hold of her records and turned her in and told the elders. So this has been going on, Rick, for some time, but, I don't care what Watchtower says. I don't care how many attorneys they have. You break the law, there's consequences to it. So thank you, Rick, for bringing that up about the HIPAA rules tonight.
Well, there you go, Constance. It's absolutely true. And any doctor or any hospital that hires a Jehovah's Witness, they open themselves up to lawsuits. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. There are experiences in magazines and from talks where nurses did the right thing and followed God's law over man's law and reported patients to the elders. There's experiences in their magazines that say this. Isn't that something? And these are rank and file fools in the church, and they're breaking laws and ruining people's lives What a horrible bunch of cult followers. Unbelievable.
Can I comment after the brother?
Yes, go ahead. I think we have the brother. Do we have a brother? Go ahead, brother. If not, we got Anne-Marie. You're on with us, Anne-Marie. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to comment on what you said and what Constance said. I know Laguna Honda pretty well because I was raised in the city, and I knew patients there. It's a very old establishment. And the thing is, what Constance is saying about these women, say, for example, who may have had an abortion. I know of one Jehovah's Witness mother who forced her 14-year-old daughter to have an abortion, and I'm sure she never got found out. I only heard it through the grapevine, through very reliable sources of somebody I knew. And the thing is, this has gone on a lot, but here's the thing. Those who feel that they are being loyal to God, because after all, we must keep Jehovah's organization clean. So therefore, if you are privy to any wrongdoing, your loyalty to Jehovah comes first. So any nurse or doctor or social worker or psychologist who is a dedicated Watchtowerite will faithfully snitch. And here's the thing, like Constance was saying, it's against law. It's a very strict situation. However, as is everything else, Watchtower is very good at insulating themselves from any flashback or any, response from this, because they can always say, we didn't tell them to snitch. Well, they're the ones, they took the oath. They're the one that broke the law. We didn't break the law. We never told anybody to break the law, right? Because they never say that. But they say what they're saying without actually saying what they're saying, and every faithful witness, follower of Watchtower, gets the message. Thank you, Ray.
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. That's a good statement. Well, there you have it. There you have it. You are now right up to date on what's going on behind...
Hi, can I add to that?
Go ahead, yep.
Hi, this is Apostle Linda James. So, we need to remember what it is in the mindset of a Jehovah's Witness who is compelled to tell. Yes, the organization doesn't directly tell them to do so, but they tell stories about others who have done so, which is an example of the right way to be as a Jehovah's Witness. So the bottom line is they are made to believe that if they do not tell on somebody else for some kind of wrongdoing, they will have that person's blood on their hands during Armageddon, when Armageddon hits. So it's a pretty astounding motivator when that's what they have been indoctrinated to believe. So it's more than just being, a little gossipy. They have this huge, unfair burden of responsibility to do so, is what they've been taught,
Oh, Apostle, thank you very much. That's an excellent comment. I give you a gold star for that, because I wasn't thinking of that. No, seriously. Well, no.
The gold star you give me. Thank you.
Well, no. The reason why I do, that's an excellent comment, because that's exactly how the witness feels. If they don't if they don't tell the elders and tattle, then they feel like Jehovah is going to hold them blood guilty, responsible, and they could lose their life at Armageddon. That is terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
Boy. Oh, thank you. That got me thinking. Now you got my blood pressure going up here. Seriously. That's too. Yeah.
I got another one. I got another one for you.
Go ahead.
I mentioned this before on 6 Screens, but I used to live on one end of Barclay Street, and the far end of Barclay Street was another sister. And the elders asked me to be vigilant at the bottom of the street if I saw a yellow Pontiac being parked at her house, possibly overnight. Well, I knew who had the yellow Pontiac. That wasn't a secret to me. But they really kind of defamed her character. I never looked down the street to see if there was a yellow Pontiac, but the point is that the elders like to investigate people and have other people spy on other people so they can get some dirt on them, possibly have one of those judicial committee meetings, it's just a horrible organization, but yet the Watchtower can do all kind of nefarious stuff, hiding money and, laundering money and all that stuff. And you were saying earlier how the Watchtower said they're looking after their brothers and sisters. No, they're not. And they never do. They never do. They're a bunch of liars. Thanks, Rick.
Oh, Dick, you're absolutely right. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for coming on tonight and speaking up. And all of those that did, I thank you all. And that's so important. I want you to know, when you guys all speak up, I get comments. I get emails here at the Six Screens. Oh, I love to hear Dick. I love to hear Anne Marie. I love to hear Apostle Babe. I love to hear Brian and all of these people. I can't even think of them all right now, but Randy, and there's so many, Dawn, and so many speak up in the Six Screens. Thank you for doing that, because when you do that, it really helps so many people, because it's not just me blabbering away here, bloviating. They're hearing other people speaking up as well. So by all means, continue to do that. I thank you all for speaking up. Now look, we have got a program tomorrow, Sunday, beginning at 2 p.m., JW World News, Sunday edition, tomorrow at 2. And then, of course, we have my program, Upper Room Ministries, House Church. Consider yourself in church. That's coming up tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And then Jay Hess is coming on at 4, answering all of your Bible questions. So by all means, join us on Six Screens Sunday. Well, anyways, what a great program. Lots of people speaking up. Well, anyways, I just wanted to say this, that Six Screens is happy to have you guys listening in. And for those that are listening in right now on Facebook, the program is going to end. We do have another program coming up from Australia Live, but if you're on Facebook and you want to listen to the programs coming up tonight, we have a number of programs still scheduled. So if you want to listen in, go to sixscreensofthewatchtower.com, scroll down on the home page, and it'll give you, we got a lot of noise going on in the background, but to scroll down on the, hold on one second, let me just stop we got too much noise going on here. All right, too much noise going on. You got to, when you stop talking on the phone, you got to mute it, and that'll make it so easy for me. But anyways, we're leaving Facebook right now. If you want to come on and listen to the program coming up from Australia and the rest of the night's programs, go to sixscreensofthewatchtower.com. And then what you want to do is scroll down until it gives you instructions. You can listen in on a video suite, or you can dial in and listen on our radio telephone network. Well, now you're right up to date on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And I just have to say this, I want you to keep standing tall. Now, don't you ever give in, up or out. And the last one leaving the Watchtower, by all means, turn off the new light. Let's put this program into the archives. Let's do that right now. We have Matt Christopher. Well, he's coming in from Australia. Well, it's Sunday morning out there, Saturday night here. So Matt is coming in next. So let's listen to Matt. Just give us a second so we get the recording up. And if you haven't heard Matt, you want to stay in tonight. He's going to give you some ideas on what's going on in Australia. So let's get Matt's program up and running. Let me just make sure everything's set to go, which it is. So, all right.
You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
And now, the end is near.